done it before. One more time. We're back again for part 3, family. So Dr. Haggard was saying that as far as in part 2, he said we need to find a way to get people into social work who aren't necessarily social work professionals, qualified individuals who have the accredited hours. Is it hours?
Yeah. So okay. Social work, especially at the undergraduate level, you have to have you have to go through your 4-year education like you will with a bachelor's degree, but then you have to do an internship or a practicum. And the undergrad, I think it's 500 hours that you have to get in undergrad. But they can be a deterrent for people to get into the field that are actually already doing the work. There's people out here that are doing some great work, doing some dope work, that don't have a social work degree or they don't have a degree, period. And we can't, you can't call them social workers, and it impacts some things. It can impact their ability to get jobs. It could impact some funding. It's definitely impacting who's in the profession. Social work is a white profession. There's a lot of white folks in the profession. There's not enough people of color, not enough black people, not enough people representing the populations that we're most serving. So we got to find a way to really impact how we can recruit black men and black women, especially black men. It's a shortage of us. When I was going through undergrad, I was maybe
even on the job. You talk about the disproportionate. Just on the job, like
on the job as well. It's not a whole lot of black men in social work, and so that's something that needs to be changed. And so, but what I was essentially saying though is we gotta find ways to create other avenues to being a social worker. And maybe you don't call yourself a full social worker, right?
There you go. Let's don't do that.
But there's have to be other ways that you can get into doing that work. Get some type of qualifications. I don't know what they would call it. Assistant social work. I don't know what you would call it, but there has to be.
Just say an apprentice. They call them apprentices for the sake of the argument.
Whatever.
So if you get up under a social worker, you can work up under the social worker for so many hours. They'll guide and direct you so that you won't just be all over the place, and they can give you that theoretical process, and then you can help you get a practical application.
Yeah. So too many of us out here doing the work, we just don't have the qualifications that are there. And sometimes the qualifications are good. I'm not knocking qualifications at all, because I think social work is one of those professions. You're working with some vulnerable populations, some vulnerable people. And so you don't want to have people in there who don't know what they're doing, making matters worse.
Right.
So
there you go. Yeah, exactly.
You gotta figure that out.
In a community like ours, not saying that we are the bad or the worst, but we have the biggest struggle in the community as far as America is concerned. So definitely mental health is a piece and a component that we need to dig into, so we can make sure that we're understanding, at least being able to say, hey, this is trauma, this is anxiety, this is depression, this is where hypertension comes from. All of the things that y'all do, we need to be able to identify it first. You need to know what it is first. If you walk up and you see an alligator and you've never seen an alligator before, you already know how that's going to turn out, right? You're going to walk up on it. And so we keep walking up on these alligators, not understanding what it is. So let's be able to identify the alligator first. Then we can proceed from there. But you guys can help us unpack that. So we're going to have this piece coming up. You said it was on family. What was it you said? Family. What did you say? We're talking about codependency, collective group of family. You were saying something. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, just understanding generationally how our families are structured, and how that structure can really be contributing to some challenges that we're having in our families in ways that we don't even know. We could be behaving in what we see as our norm, or our homeostasis, is what you would call it in the field, and seeing how structurally, how going back generations and generations, and using and understanding why we don't see other options, right? Like,
so I specifically want to speak to that. We have 30 people who see something that's not there in a family. What is that called, and how does that work?
Well, it's just going to depend, right? It depends on what that is. because it could come from it can come from different places. It could come from different theoretical frameworks. You have one theoretical framework that could say it's suppression of emotions, and that's really driving the way that a family orients itself and communicates. You have some that are focused more on the content. I mean, the process rather than the content of how you communicate. You have some that they're focusing on like how individually your lenses are impacting the entire family structure. Like, so it depends on what those different theoretical frameworks are, and then working through that. But yeah,
have you ever been able to sit in on a family session like that?
Yeah.
So I mean, talk about it, man. Come on, man. It's like we going through this, man.
Yeah,
come on. Like you seen this family. What was the dynamic? Of course, we can't go into specifics, but in general, what was the dynamics, or what was the situation? What was the problem? What was going
on? That would be challenging for me to talk through because then I would have to think about how to de-identify it and stuff in ways.
Okay.
So that would be challenging for me to do, and I want to be mindful of confidentiality.
Yeah, absolutely. No, so let's stop. Let's don't.
Let's don't do specifically, but yeah, I've seen. There's been some especially when I was, and I've done it at different levels. Where I was working in child welfare for a few years and doing some stuff, and then I worked in the school system and did some things as well. Oh yeah, you see it. I even see it. You talk about it being long standing. There were some times where, like, when I worked in child welfare, for example, where I would have a family, and then I went to work in the school system, and I had some interactions with the same family but a different family member. And it's just like this one family that's just everywhere I went, I had some type of connection with that family.
Oh, okay. Got you.
And it was crazy because you think about like structurally and you think about generationally how all of these things are impacting people. You see it just in that. I wish I don't want to go into detail.
So let me talk about me. I got you.
Yeah.
So let's stop because I don't want to do that because we want to keep this going and we don't want to disrespect nobody.
Yeah.
So with me, when I turned 40, I said to myself, I don't want to be the same dentist today I am next year. So I started asking questions of my family. I said, who do you think I am? Who do you see? Because I know you can't see. It's hard to see yourself outside yourself. So when I went to my family, I started asking these questions. A lot of them say, well, you cool, you straight. Nah, I need to know the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent. And some people still, when I kept asking questions, they say, well, you different.
Yeah.
That's like interesting. What does that mean, right? What is different? So then some of them say, well, you know who you are. You're confident. You're a hard worker. Like that was in general. I needed them to say, well, look, man, you snore at night and I really hate you for that because you be snoring loud all night long. Like I need to know specifically what do I need to change or adjust or adapt to so that I can make these changes in my life to be a better person. So we don't even know how to constructively help somebody. Constructive criticism.
Yeah,
we don't know how to do that. So,
well, and I think that's like where that's the value of having a counselor and a therapist, because at the end of the day, if they're doing the job well, they're not going to they're not going to take face value what you say. So, like say you and your family came in with that.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Well, my problem is X, Y, and Z. They're going to listen to that, but then they're going to try to find ways to view your interactions or try to capture exactly how your interactions. And there's all kinds of different activities they could do that with, right? Yeah. So, and then they're gonna process that through their own lens, through this trained lens of saying, okay, now this is actually the problem. You're saying this is the problem, but this is actually the problem, and let me help you find other solutions to dealing with that problem. Because again, it's not necessarily about, we always talk a lot about process versus content. It's not so much about the content; it's about that process. So the entire job there is going to be helping those families try to, discover what some other options are, some different approaches.
So don't worry about what's wrong. How are we going to deal with the problem? Is that content versus process?
In some ways, and it's going to also depend on which school of thought you're working from too, because like there's going to be some thought, focusing more on that problem.
Right.
And there's going to be some of us that say, I'm not as worried. I need to know that, but I'm not as worried about the problem. I want to figure out how you're working through your problems. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to be there forever for a family, right? Or individual. So what you want to do is empower families, empower individuals to be, once life is going to keep coming at you, right? How are you adjusting and how are you coping and overcoming those challenges? What skills can that therapist help you to be able to work through? What skills can they help you to develop? What perspective are they going to have to help you to be able to work through those challenges that are going to keep coming? Once you end that session or end that therapy. But it also depends on the school of thought. There's all kinds of different frameworks, all kinds of different approaches to the work, and so it's just going to all depend on that. So there's some they put more emphasis on the content, but a lot of times you want to focus more on that process than the content.
Okay. Yep. Because the family piece is, so after we deal with this black men situation, however long we take to unpack that, we go into the family piece. Like, I want you to get whoever specializes, people that can help us, get down to that, to drill down to the core of it, get from the surface to the core of that, because I'm struggling with some issues. And I'm saying, let's start with me first. I ain't running from it.
Yeah.
I ain't scared to look in that mirror. Yeah. I know I need work, but I want everybody to understand that they part of the problem. Yeah. And if you think you're not part of the problem, you probably big a part of the problem. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So, all right. Well, that's, that was 46 minutes that fast. We seem like we just started this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right, Doc, Doc is going to be back. He'll let me know, because he got a lot going on, y'all. It's a lot. When I say a lot, not, to today's standards, it's a lot, like for real going on. So we're going to see when he can come back. So he's going to be on Wednesday. So if y'all like this, look for us on Wednesdays. Doc we're going to have him around as much as possible. But we're going to definitely keep you on the loop and let you know. So do you want to end up with something that people need to know, or some homework, or, what you want to?
No, man.
No, nothing like that. Yeah. Okay, so we want y'all to take this. We want you to test this. We want you to try this. Take it to the barbershop and take it to the hair salon. Take it to the job and take it to the church. Remember, you don't have to like it, believe it, or understand it. Sometimes you just have to respect it. This is the Clipper Dome Chronicles. Thank you. Man, it don't seem like an hour went